So good to see all these happy teachers here today. All right, so put yourself in this situation. It's Friday morning, 4 a.m., you got 5 hours of sleep. What's the first thing you say to yourself? I love teaching English, right? Convincing yourself of that fact, and you're questioning your life's decisions. But now fast forward 5 hours. Your classes are done, you're able to teach your students something, it was enjoyable, you got your feedback in, maybe you received a performance review on yourself and it wasn't too bad. What do you say then? I love teaching English. And because of how we feel then, we work hard at our teaching. We want to be the best teacher we possibly can. So we're going to look at 3 aspects of good teaching. They are I don't even know what they are. Low teacher talking time, level appropriate questions, and classroom management. So our first one, low teacher talking time. Now why is this important? If we look at what Ms. Kapoor says, I talk a lot, so I just learn to tune myself out, right? And we do that to people. When people talk too much, we tune them out. We don't pay attention to them. Our students are with us for at least 25 weeks. If we have the tendency to talk a lot, they're going to tune us out quicker and quicker and quicker each lesson. So we really have to watch the amount of time that we talk. In addition to that, as it was said before, learning a language is based a lot on practice. So the more they practice, the better it is going to be for them. So we're going to look at 2 ways that we can reduce the amount of time that we talk during a class. So this is a slide you know well, from Mrs. Bryce's Mice. So I love this lesson because they call her a horrible woman. But anyways, Mrs. Bryce's Mice. What do we normally do with this lesson? As a teacher, we normally ask our students these questions. But do we have to? Not always. Sometimes our students, they're at a high level. They can read these questions easily themselves. So why not have one student ask another student the question? It reduces the amount of time we talk. They get to do sight reading, and they're practicing, and it also establishes a nice order in the class. One student asking the question, the other student talking or answering that question. So just one very simple way, have the student read as much of the class material as possible. And when it gets up into Wonders lessons, you can have the students read almost all of the lesson material. They're at a high enough level then, it works well. So our next way to reduce the amount of time that we talk as teachers. So this is the idea of community. And when you look at this slide, there's a lot of words in it. So can we use questions and pictures to explain ideas? If we do that, we reduce the amount of time that we talk as a teacher. So what makes a community? A community is a group of people that share common interests or a place where people live, such as a neighborhood. That definition has to be in textbook. So it's our job as teachers to expand on that, make it better. If I start to talk about this, I'm talking for at least a minute and the student still doesn't have a clue of what community is. So how do I use pictures and questions to explain what community is? Thank you. All right. So we can look at this slide. This is a simple Enkidu, and it's working. Oh, that one's working. Perfect. All right, this is our last one, number 3. Okay. Hello? Okay. So we have a simple Enkidu here. So how could we explain what community is? Imagine putting our student's house in the corner and say, near your house is there a school? Near your house is there a shop? Near your house is there a park? Near your house is there a bank? All those things. Whatever they say yes to, we can draw a circle around it and say, that is a community, right? And then we could further those questions. Okay, in your community, what else do you have? Do you have other shops? Do you have other buildings? Are there a lot of people? Are there trees in your community? And we can continue that conversation all while talking less and staying, reducing the amount of time we talk and really making the class much more interesting. So for reducing teacher talk time, we really have 2 things to look at. Can we have the student read as much class material as possible? And can we use questions and pictures to explain ideas instead of a lot of words? So if we're asking a lot of questions, trying to reduce the amount of time we talk, we need to ask level-appropriate questions. So do we sometimes get this? Yeah. Our students, we're challenging them. We're trying to find out the limit of what they know, so at times they have no idea what we're talking about. But we don't always want to see this. So very simply, what is a level-appropriate question? Well, it's a question that our student understands and is willing to respond to. Two very important parts there. Where can we find a good example for a level-appropriate question within our class? The PPTs. They give us a very good example of what a level-appropriate question is. But even then, we know that we need to adjust the questions in the PPTs to fit each student. So, and we also know that we need to ask additional questions. And when we're asking additional questions, this is the key. Ask simple questions. More than yes or no questions, but a question that is worded clear and concise in simple English that they will understand. That is a level-appropriate question. Which moves us on to our next topic. Classroom management. Now, when we think about classroom management, we many times think about issues that come up in class. I don't know about you. Our students are wonderful. I really do not have too many issues within a classroom. But the issues that I do have all come down to a student being tired. Right? By the time they get to us, they have been at school, going to school, doing homework, after-school activities for between 10 and 14 hours, right? So we get this student. So what can we do to combat this student, to get them excited? Well, I had two students. Their name were Carlos and Larry. Wonderful name choice. But in addition to that, something that they did that I loved? At the starting of every class, they were super excited to see me, and that was wonderful. You know how goofy our kids are, like, hey, how's it going? And I think back to that class, there was nothing overly exceptional about that class. It was just how they greeted me is what I remember. So as a teacher, if we're going to combat our tired student, are we doing everything we can to make English the highlight of their day? I would shoot for highlight of the week, but we have a lot to compete with. We have soccer practice, dance class, game of Go, all these other things. But we can make it the highlight of their day. And all of that starts with a good greeting, with us being excited as teachers to see each and every one of our students. And if we are excited, that very well may rub off on them, and we might not, we'll still see this, but maybe we won't see it as much. I just have to show this. This is a feed the teacher reward. If they're tired, they'll love that. All right. So I'm sure you feel the same way I do. Despite all the little issues that we have teaching English, we do say, I love teaching English. And we hope that as long as we have to work, we can do work like this.
Anybody? One question? One question? One question? Anyone? One question. Who wants to be the spokesperson for everybody? Okay, there we go. One question. Go.
What do you got?
If you have a classroom with one student and the student comes late, let's say 15 minutes late, how do you time manage? Because sometimes it's like, okay, do we skip stuff or should we stay a little longer if we have time to, if there's not a back-to-back?
Me personally, I skip stuff. Yep. Or I talk to myself for the first 15 minutes. I just have the class with myself and then I know I'm on time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nicholas. That was enlightening.